散时间的。对，对。
So, ladies and gentlemen, please take a seat. It's a pleasure to see all of you today, and I really hope that you've already had a great first day at Hong Kong Fintech Week. Now, Hong Kong and the Middle East, why do you think now is a particularly good time to be having this conversation, and how, in fact, the economic landscapes in both regions really complement each other? And I'm going to let you start with this, Mr. Chan.
Sure, thank you. Morning, everyone. Well, over the past few years, the economies of both Middle East and Asia have grown significantly. Not only have both regions grown in terms of size, but also they have also developed new businesses and technologies over these years. However, during the COVID years, communications exchanges were disrupted. So indeed, it's the right time to catch up and explore together the tremendous opportunities of trade and investment between both regions. Indeed, we have seen a strong willingness of both regions to strengthen collaboration. We believe that through persistent and stronger foundations of mutual trust, we will create more possibilities for deeper cooperation. And particularly, I would say Saudi is a leading economy in the Middle East and also an important source of foreign direct investment in the world. And indeed, Saudi has clear and ambitious goals for the development of its financial markets, and Saudi is also cultivating a diversified and efficient financial sector that contributes to realizing the objectives of Saudi Vision 2030. Meanwhile, Hong Kong is the leading international financial center in Asia. We top the league tables in Asia across Asian international bond issuance, cross-border wealth management, AUM, hedge funds business, insurance density, etc. And indeed, under one country, two system, on one hand, Hong Kong provides preferential access to the mainland China market through Stock Connect, Bond Connect, ETF Connect, Swap Connect, Wealth Management Connect. And on the other side, our core strengths include free flow of capital, common law legal system, simple and low tax regime, as well as a regulatory regime aligned with major markets in the world. So indeed, Hong Kong is well positioned to act as a central hub to connect those investors and entrepreneurs from Saudi and Middle East to those in China and Asia, for investors looking for opportunities for investment diversification, and also for entrepreneurs looking for funding and business partners.
Mr. Asarani, what could you add there, and why are they so complementary?
Thank you. Obviously, it's a pleasure to be here. We had our first FinTech event this year in early September. And I think we're going to follow the footsteps of Hong Kong by having it on repeat every year subsequently from here. So as it pertains to the question, I think the ambitious goals of Saudi 2030 vision goals required, which aims obviously to diversify the economy, it needed the collaboration of a leading global market. And if you look at the synergies between Hong Kong and Saudi Arabia, which is driven by a confluence of factors, including the economic complementarities, the strategic positioning, as well as the shared aspiration of both regions for the development and growth, you will see that it's a natural fit that this conversation is taking place, and you fully expect them to grow in the future and be more broader and inclusive. As far as the landscape or the economic landscape of both, I believe both Hong Kong and Saudi Arabia offer a unique economic landscape that can benefit significantly from the collaboration. For instance, the financial services, where Hong Kong expertise can really support Saudi Arabia's effort to develop the robust capital market, to have a very efficient and attractive insurance and banking industry, as well as attract foreign investments. In the technology and innovation, where again Hong Kong advanced financial technology sector can really contribute to the Saudi Arabia's 2030 goal of becoming a leading fintech hub on a global landscape. The strategic position of Saudi Arabia, which is at the center of the world, obviously centered between three continents, as well as the massive economic transformation and upscaling across all the sectors, will offer a very unique opportunities for all sort of investment in Hong Kong for the Hong Kong-based companies and Hong Kong financial institutions.
So now that we've really set the stage, we've established that they're very complementary, let's be a little bit more concrete. Where in fact do you see the greatest collaboration opportunities then?
Well, I think there are a few areas we can focus on. Well, first of all, is green finance, right? Because globally, be that in Asia or Middle East, we together are combating climate change, and that drives a lot of development in terms of green infrastructure, green technology that requires green capital. Well, Hong Kong, we are the leading green finance center in Asia. If you look at the sales side in terms of fundraising, we topped the league table in terms of issuing green and sustainable bonds in Asia last year, account for about 37% of the market share. On the buy side, by the end of June this year, the number of ESG funds authorized by SFC actually reached 233, which grew by 19% on a year-on-year basis. And also the AUM under our ESG funds were at 169.3 billion US dollars at the end of June this year, grew by 8% on year-on-year basis. So indeed, we are in a great position to help, for example, green projects and green enterprises from the Middle East to raise funds here, or also for green investors from Middle East to deploy their green capital in Asia, or also for the business partners and also regulators to exchange ideas in terms of how to promote green finance together. The other area we should focus on, I would say, is fintech. Well, Hong Kong, as mentioned early on, is indeed a fintech hub in Asia. At the moment, we house over 1,100 fintech companies here. That number actually grew by about 15% in 1 year's time. Our fintech companies here come across wealth tech, insurtech, payments, regtech, etc. In fact, Hong Kong is one of the very first jurisdictions in the world that grant licenses to virtual banks. Now we have 8 virtual banks here with license, and we also granted 4 licenses to 4 virtual insurers as well. So indeed, we can see the fintech companies between Middle East and Hong Kong can work together and collaborate. One example I've seen is that a Hong Kong insurtech company has worked with a local insurance company in the UAE to issue digital insurance in UAE. And that Hong Kong insurtech company has also signed a deal with a local insurance company in Saudi to support that company's in terms of reinsurance business for its marketing leading digital asset products globally. Riding on to fintech, of course, Web3 is another focus area we should look at. Well, indeed, Hong Kong, we embrace the development of Web3. As announced, in our policy statement 2 years ago, we believe that virtual asset is an asset class here to stay, and we want to make sure this sector would develop in a sustainable and responsible manner. And since then, we actually grant 3 licenses to virtual asset trading platforms. And also Hong Kong last year became the first government globally that issued tokenized green bonds, demonstrating leading by example in terms of tokenization. And actually just 2 years ago here in FinTech Week, we also issued our NFT, being the government showing our commitment, issuing our own NFT as well. So indeed, we are very committed to the development of Web3. This year, in fact, also we became the first market in Asia that we list virtual asset spot ETF on our exchange. So you can see that we keep developing as we are. And also by the end of this year, we will be submitting our legislative proposal on stablecoin to the Legislative Council in Hong Kong. And so Web3 companies in Middle East also developing quickly. And as I understand, in terms of stablecoins, cross-border payment, DeFi, there's huge demand in the Middle East region, and also for trades not only within Middle East, but also between Middle East and Africa, between Middle East and Asia as well. So I believe that Web3 companies in Asia and also Middle East can work together on this. The last focus area I would like to highlight is family offices. Well, on one hand, Hong Kong, we are the biggest cross-border wealth management center in Asia. We rank number 2 in the world and number 1 in Asia by AUM. And we also house over 2,700 single-family offices here in Hong Kong. Indeed, if you look at the size of our asset wealth management business in Hong Kong, it grew by about 30% over the last 5 years across 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. So indeed, we have a great ecosystem here. But what we can do together is that on one hand, we can help family offices in Hong Kong to set up their regional office in Middle East so that they can grab the investment opportunities there. And vice versa, we can work with the family offices from Middle East to set up regional offices here in Hong Kong to help them understand and capture the investment opportunity in Asia. So all in all, you can see that there are a lot of areas that we can work together.
So clearly a lot of potential areas on the horizon, from Web3, green finance to family offices. What other collaboration opportunities do you see beyond that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as Joseph mentioned, there's a lot of opportunities we can definitely benefit from the collaboration. But I think the essence is in the ease of the investment process itself. Because if you look at, let's say, the areas of private equity, even the foreign direct investments or any other interesting activity, joint ventures is always obviously helping the promotion if you have a lot of financial institutions. So having JVs between the financial institutions in the two regions will help to leverage the fintech strength of Hong Kong as well as the fintech strength in Saudi, which is very fastly growing. In trying to come up with innovative financial technologies and solutions. And obviously, as Joseph touched upon, to try to leverage or to play on the strength that both regions are quite committed to the green finance and sustainability, in the promotion of the green financing, the sustainability, and to try to invest in renewable energy. Should be the obviously areas of collaboration. Of course, more regulatory cooperation, because aligning regulatory framework will definitely facilitate the cross-border financial transaction, sharing the knowledge, and obviously transferring the technology will boost the development of the talent within the financial sectors and in the areas of, let's say, fintech and the digital banking. Obviously, potentially entering into trade agreements, having some incentives for the investments as applicable, obviously, and continuously working on the regulatory reforms just to make sure that both markets are quite attractive, appealing, and quite competitive with respect to attracting capital from around the world.
So let's finish up with that. How, in fact, are the governments of Saudi Arabia and Hong Kong really trying to create an attractive business environment for one another? And given that I'm conscious of time, let's keep this answer short and sweet. Maybe, Mr. Al-Sarani, I'll start with you.
Sure. I think, obviously, we learned a lot from the Hong Kong distinguished experience. When the Vision 2030 was announced, we wanted to try to identify a very distinguished financial center, which is not by the size, it was by how they open up their business, how they wanted to fit in the overall ecosystem, and definitely Hong Kong stood out. It made natural sense that we signed an MOU with our friends at the Financial Sector Development Council. We've learned a lot from their experience. We have a lot of discussions and knowledge and know-how transfer. Which we definitely, all of the fruition of those efforts, you can potentially see it in coming years with in-search flows, investment capital flows between the two nations. We're going to work a lot on the research paper and obviously a joint project, which, as Joseph mentioned, because in the finance, the sector itself is ever developing, and there's evolution and all of this intersection coming from the technology disruption, from the AI, and how try to augment it or take it to the next space, which is definitely not a quite mature section yet. So we try to align the thought process. We try to understand the inherited risks and the opportunities and the level of balancing between these two. So all of this will definitely yield into making sure that both markets will benefit by having the right landscape, and the right messaging to the world of being open to business and being a leading financial centers.
And Mr. Chen, I'll hand the final word over to you.
Thank you. Well, as mentioned in the 2024 policy address by our chief executive, Hong Kong will strive to collaborate with large-scale sovereign wealth funds in regions such as Middle East in financing the setting up of funds to invest in assets in the mainland and other regions. If we look at broader areas of cooperation with Middle East, we are keen to strengthen bilateral investment flows and financial collaboration between Hong Kong and different Middle East countries, and of course between Hong Kong and Saudi as well. If we look at different levels, right, on the G2G level, actually Hong Kong, Invest Hong Kong, and also the Ministry of Investment of Saudi Arabia have signed an MOU on investment promotion in 2023 to enhance cooperation on investment promotion between Hong Kong and Saudi. The MOU aims at enhancing cooperation on investment promotion, strengthening the economic relations between the two places in the field of direct investment, encouraging more visits and expertise exchange, and also organizing more events and meetings as well. On the public market side, well, in November last year, we were very pleased in Hong Kong here to welcome the listing of Asia Pacific first ETF that track the Saudi Arabian equities on Hong Kong Stock Exchange, highlighting Hong Kong's crucial function as a key link for financial connectivity between Asia and the Middle East region. And of course, this week we are very excited, right, to see the listing of two ETFs in the Middle East and Saudi that track Hong Kong stock indices, which will attract allocation of capital into the market to Hong Kong stocks. And on fintech, as we mentioned earlier, also on the I would say on the public level, our Hong Kong MA, Hong Kong Monetary Authority, together with 4 central banks, including one from UAE, and also the Bank for International Settlements Innovation Hub, Hong Kong Center, have been conducting a project called Ambridge, which is actually researching on the application of wholesale CBDC, central bank digital currencies for cross-border payments. And we're happy to see that in June this year, the Saudi Central Bank joined this project as the next full participant of the Ambridge MVP platform. Well, MVP actually stands for minimum viable product. So we reached that stage this year, which will further widen the participation of public and private sectors in Ambridge to pave the way for production-ready system. And of course, our collaboration coordination will keep going. And we're happy to see that, as you know, our financial secretary gave the opening remarks at Invest Hong Kong yesterday morning. And afterwards, he himself led a delegate of over 100 people from regulators, from public agencies, and also the private sectors in financial industry and also I&T sector as well to Saudi to attend FII in Riyadh this week. And interestingly, the financial secretary boarded on the inaugural flight of the relaunched direct services between Hong Kong and Riyadh yesterday, which signifies a more frequent and more direct people-to-people flow, as well as trade and cargo flow between the two places. And indeed, we believe that apart from the government and the business sector, it's also important for our regulators to have dialogues as well. So, for example, SFC, Securities Futures Commission, is also on that delegate, and they will conduct a lot more conversation with the counterparts to encourage more cross-listing and cross-border regulatory collaboration going forward. Well, we see all these great activities is just the beginning of a journey of a very fruitful economic tie between Hong Kong and Saudi and between Asia and the Middle East.
So clearly we can see a lot of synergies on the horizon. Maybe as a fun fact, it's your first time visiting Hong Kong. I'll let you finish up here. Your first impressions so far, and what is on your to-do list before you leave tomorrow?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. It was the first time, and it's, of course, I love that experience so far. The hospitality and the kind and warm welcome. Obviously, the city lives up to the reputation. This amazing skyline, what we saw, and obviously the harbor. And I think the one thing I had to do before we travel back to Riyadh is to go on a ferry ride on the Singapore Harbor, and just the traditional one.
That's a must-see.
Should be a must-see, because it's just an amazing view with the skyline and all of these buildings, and obviously the harbor. So it's been absolutely, I loved every part of Hong Kong, and looking forward to explore the city more.
Wonderful, and enjoy seeing the city.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and please give them a warm round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to our speakers for this interesting session.